Dragon X, who the favorites were.
KT Rolster.
just want everyone to know. Yeah, you're so sweet and you want me. I just want everyone to know. I'll tell the world, yeah. I'll tell the world. I just want everyone to know. I'll tell the world, yeah. I'll tell the world. I just want everyone to know. You taste so sweet, yeah. Sweeter than Coca-Cola. Your body gets me drunk like rum. I don't play the beat if you dance over closer.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2019. I'm Atlas, joined by LS, and once again, we are back with the Please Send Help Desk because we are not feeling super great at the moment, but we're doing our very best to bring you all of the LCK action for today to the best of our ability. And now KT Rolster going to go up against SANDBOX. SANDBOX coming off their loss to Griffin, which now seems like something that shouldn't have happened because they just lost to a FLICKR in Gen G. So theoretically, no, that's not true. It was a different patch, different time, and a different Griffin, and that was definitely a stomp that Griffin were able to put on against SANDBOX. However, KT not being quite so lucky, haven't been able to find too many wins since their 2-1 victory over Gen G, and the Telecom War was no different, but they did manage to take a game off SKT, so there is a chance here that they might be able to upset the third place team. Of course, SKT have found their way towards second now, but it is neck and neck up there, and every victory and every loss is very important to try and lock down one less spot in that corner. Yeah,
and so this match is super important for both of these teams, but for different reasons. KT obviously fighting to avoid the relegation spot, whereas SANDBOX is really fighting for the upper standings so that they can have the better seeds going into playoffs. And so for tonight, it's an important match for them. We'll have to see who is playing for KT in the jungle role.
Yeah, exactly
Will
right.
it end up being Score? And we can see right here, I mean, SANDBOX, they're 1 point behind SK Telecom.
Yep.
So they're looking for a 2-0 here tonight, whereas KT, you can see down there with Afrika's win, it really puts a lot of pressure now on Gen G and KT.
FLICKR also a match ahead of both of Gen G, 2 matches ahead of KT, who haven't played quite as many games leading up to this one. It is important to note that if KT do get a 2-0 tonight, they will tie with Gen G, and then we'd have to take head-to-head into account, where I believe KT might actually be tied with Gen G. They did manage to get the 2-1 over them last time out, and it was a 1-2, so they are tied in head-to-head as well, so very interesting if they are actually able to come up with this one, but we need to look at first things first, which involves KT having to actually get that 2-0 against SANDBOX, which could be very, very difficult. This squad has still been looking very good, despite the fact that we had some inkling doubts as they did lose a game to a Freak of Freaks, followed immediately by a crushing defeat at the hands of Kingzone Dragon X. They were then able to come back and take down Afrika. Jinner soon followed, and Darm1 Gaming was a 2-1 victory for SANDBOX just before their 0-2 loss to Griffin. So
the games left for SANDBOX.
Only one looking tough. Only one looking really tough. Hanwha didn't look super great against Damwon yesterday.
Yeah. SK Telecom, though, obviously the true trial. For KT, though, can't really say the same. They have the Curse of Jin Air coming up. Now, we did just see Griffin lose. So, when they go up against Jin Air Green Wings, Jin Air have the Griffin buff.
Yeah, Jin Air are actually allowed to win a game.
You don't need a Glad plane when you're riding a Griffin.
Precisely. Precisely.
You ever play Warcraft?
Yes.
Griffins.
Exactly.
All right, those things, they mess things up.
Damn right they do. They're real scary. But let's have a look at the points of the game. Gen.G, not the only team to make an upset. KT on the edge of a precipice versus SANDBOX, one victory away from second place. Of course, if SANDBOX are able to win here in any fashion, they are going to be able to push ahead of SKT. SKT then with an opportunity to bounce back. But OG Solo Queue Draven Master Gango, will there be a mind game around Draven between Gango and Ghost? Because of course these are two very notable Draven players. And also Ghost is a very notable Kalista player as well. So it's not exactly an easy first pick up here because you can just like lock in the Kalista and get Draven.
And I like the last point here of the Great Jungler Score will be the first player to hit 500 LCK matches. He has 498 now. There is a substitute jungler on KT.
Oh my goodness.
What if KT's master plan is to bring him to 499 and then retire him?
No one should be able to get to 500 games. That is ludicrous. You're out.
All right, now let's see the team stats here. Well, KT Rolster can count. That's for one thing. They can go from 6 to 9. You know.
Yep, they can.
They got that going for them. SANDBOX, though, on the other side of the stat box here, they are first in quite a lot of things here. Baron %, Dragon %, and damage per minute. SANDBOX, they really like to fight.
They do. They
really
like to do it early.
Yes.
That's the thing, and that's why their Dragon % is a relevant statistic here as well, because it goes alongside that high damage per minute stat.
Right.
The fact that they do like to skirmish early, they do like to get their advantages early, and they like to translate that into objectives. This was KT when they were able to take down SKT in that one match. Faker tries to get the flash out. The Whirling Death goes by unnoticed. But Portal Jump isn't going to be able to get you out of that one, Faker, unfortunately. And SKT did have some pretty good moments.
Faker getting caught up right there. Teddy trying to come in here and do his best. There's Gango on the Santa Draven.
Yep. And it's actually the Christmas bottom lane as well, so that's probably why they won.
Oh, they had the Christmas buff.
Exactly. I mean,
Now
it's the wrong month, but they do look damn good, and that's the best beard in the entirety of League of Legends.
I like that. That's very good.
Yeah. It's beautiful stuff. And honestly, this game was fantastic. From KT, I want to see score back on the Gragas, though. We've seen Gragas do pretty ridiculous things. Punch, having a great performance, Cuz being brilliant on the champion, as this was SANDBOX versus Griffin. And Ghost able to cash in. Didn't have a lot of great times, but honestly, it felt like this wasn't exactly a wash entirely for Griffin.
Definitely not. I mean, Summit and Dove doing fantastic right here. Summit is a player that I feel like we will have to watch yet again today. Him and Keen have been impressing me the most for top lane performance. Obviously, Khan is finding himself again in recent weeks, but definitely that is one of the key matchups here for me tonight is the Summit versus Smeb dynamic. And speak of the devil.
Oh, there we go. And solo kills, 8 to 7. 8 solo kills to Smeb is just absolutely ridiculous. Saw a solo kill for the top laners in our last series. Now looking for it once again. Keen, of course, being able to take down Sword pretty easily up there on the top side of the map. Smeb versus Summit could be a little bit more of a spicy one, actually. As don't let that 1.9 KDA fool you. Smeb is still a damn good player. And his damage taken stat, that is a beauty right there. Second in the entire league for taking punishment.
Well, this is definitely a meta where Summit should, in theory, be able to flourish, as tank top laners are not having the easiest of times, with the exception of a few. And SANDBOX, they're starting on the red side, which I think is fantastic for them.
Yeah, although we did see...
counterpick top lane.
So far today, it's only blue side victories. So we'll see whether we're going to flip that script, as first we're going to introduce our blue side team. KT Rolster will take a bow, and you mentioned whether or not it's going to be score empty. It's going to be score, of course. 498 games in the LCK. Looking at 500 in game number 2 tonight. See whether they can get a victory in any of these. It will be a hard task to bring to life, but they have been looking better and better as the weeks have gone on. SANDBOX now to take their walk out into Lowell Park and see whether they can reclaim second place.
Well, see how they're going to approach the draft here today. And we'll see if the Draven thing does end up coming to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really like the idea of a contested Draven pick. It's not likely that either team is going to ban it, right? It's going to be on SANDBOX whether they want to actually throw the gauntlet here. Of course, Ghost has already played 5 games of Draven. Thus far in the LCK, 80% win rate. Feeling really good about that one. They will take a bow. Saw Ghost and Madlife having a chat before this series. Still great friends. See whether Ghost is going to be in high spirits moving into this one.
They didn't have matching laces.
Yeah,
on their shoes.
That's sad, isn't it?
That is really sad, actually. I don't know if I can go into this pick ban with a clear conscience now.
I know. That being said, I mean, we're not going in with clear much at the moment because we're not exactly feeling the best. So I think that's okay. It's on brand. It's on brand.
We just got out of the 1-2 Griffin series, okay? you need to just slow down there.
All right, well, Summit OnFleek, Dove, Ghost, and Joker will be your very standard SANDBOX gaming roster. Haven't seen this one mixed up at all so far this season and don't expect it to as we move on forward. See how this draft is going to pan out because 9.5 is going to be a new thing here for SANDBOX gaming.
I genuinely think that counterpick top is just so powerful right now in the meta, and so I think it lines up perfectly for them.
I feel like if you can use it right, you know? Ah, here to see Custogen from Sydney. That's cool. I lived in Sydney for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like it there?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
I'm a Melbourne boy, so we're really pretentious.
Okay. Was that sort of like a New York, LA rivalry type thing?
Kind of.
Is it really?
It's similar to that, yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's get into pick ban. I like that more.
Yeah, let's do it. And look, you're going to have your wish granted immediately. No worries at all. See who's going to be able to grab the priority picks. Lucian going to be going towards the bench. First off here, Score not wanting to deal with OnFleek's most played champions shenanigans. And the Jace, of course, going to be banned against Smeb. Of course, Summit would have liked to pick that one up, but that's a guaranteed first pick if you leave it open.
Definitely will likely be banned away by KT in game number 2. Away from Summit as now the Kalista meets the ban, and SANDBOX will have to see what they do here if they continue on just banning top laners and mid laners as Lysandra.
Lysandra is an interesting ban against BDD because he hasn't necessarily found the most success on it. He found his first win on the Lysandra against SKT in their last match. But otherwise, it hasn't necessarily been part of his wheelhouse. It's now KT looking for their final ban. Still, lots available. Thresh is going to be taken away from Joker, though. We're down to his potential Galio and Shen pickups as his trinity of support picks that he does like to default to is being attacked.
Well, Kalista and Thresh being taken off the table, so I guess they don't want a super aggressive kill lane, but this is making me think that maybe Draven not on the agenda, as I did not think that you would want to ban away the Kalista.
Well, Gragas is going to be banned. Likely against Score, but could also be against SnowFlower as well. So multifaceted ban. I like it. I like it. And I was actually basically calling for a Gragas pickup here for Score if they could find one, because then he can pair up with BDD on a potential Yasuo. Things could become a problem. So now more difficult. Is BDD thinking about the LeBlanc? We saw LeBlanc looked over entirely in all 3 games in our other series, but it is going to be locked in here. First pick for BDD.
Have to see how SANDBOX want to reply to this. Braum now.
Braum Lucian could just be locked in if they want to.
They could just definitely go Braum Lucian. We'll see if that is the route that they want to go, and it is.
Not bad at all. Seeing the priority for Braum really skyrocket over recent days.
And interestingly enough, SANDBOX, they are the team that they want to get down and dirty very early. Braum Lucian definitely feels like the makings of a type of team composition they would like to have. KT now covering the Draven.
They can go towards it, and I like Draven into Lucian. You can punish him.
With the LeBlanc, though, I really do fear like there's no going back. Their team composition now is heavily committed.
Oh, hell yeah.
To being an extremely early game powerhouse that needs to transition strongly into the mid game. And if it doesn't do anything, it has no legs to stand on. And we're not even halfway through the draft yet. So SANDBOX can definitely recalibrate if they want to. I love the Ryze pick. Very strong against the LeBlanc. Obviously, lots of short-range champions on the side of KT, and Ryze is fantastic against that. And also, Ryze is able to be flexed if they need it to be. So, SANDBOX now moving into the second phase here. I think that you probably just end up targeting junglers away.
Could potentially do that. Of course, we have to remind everyone that Vladimir is still extremely strong and has been overlooked entirely. SANDBOX have locked in the Ryze, which is considered a decent pickup into the champion. A little bit harder for SANDBOX to blindly pick the Vladimir just because Smeb's so good at Rumble, and Rumble does decently in the matchup, especially early on. But Kha'Zix is going to be the ban here for SANDBOX, not wanting to allow the bug to pair up with the Gargoyle and get some good things done throughout the mid-game, which is exactly where KT are going to be thriving.
See how KT wants to approach this now as Irelia being banned away.
See whether the Yorick is actually going to get respected here. Of course, Smeb, a notable Yorick player, has been on the bench. As good old Yorick Mori for a good while, was in every game in game number 1. Sorry, series number 1.
Yorick has definitely fallen off a bit in terms of priority. I think ever since some of the counter picks have been discovered, is also people getting familiar with him as well as the nerfs that came in.
Yep.
Olaf now being banned away as well. So there are the two double jungle picks like we just mentioned. KT now, you have to consider what do they want to ban away. SANDBOX, yeah.
What is Score going to be playing as well is an interesting question, as Fiora ban does pose to me that KT are looking for a Yorick.
That would be really bizarre. SANDBOX can just pick a jungler here. Maybe they even just go with Camille, because it is OnFleek. Instead, it's actually going to be Jarvan. I like the Jarvan for 2 reasons. You can lock down the Draven, obviously, but it also steals away the option for KT to get that for the Galio pairing.
And also, Score has been defaulting to Jarvan a lot recently, so I like the pick away from him as well. He has to dig deep to try and find out who he's going to be picking here. Could be the Aatrox in the jungle. Could also be the Aatrox in the hands of Smeb up towards the top side of the map.
I think Aatrox top lane blind would be a pretty poor decision into Summit.
But we've seen a lot of it, man. We've seen so much blind Aatrox picked up. As Vi is being considered, and she's new and improved. I watched the LS patch rundown. I know that Vi feels a little bit better.
Jax now being hovered.
This would be a flex.
If the Jax is picked preemptive, okay, well, never mind. It's going to end up being a Rek'Sai. And so now Summit knows that he is going into an Aatrox. Now, they could just take the Ryze into top lane and pick the Zoe into the LeBlanc. I know a lot of people do believe that if you were extremely proficient at the matchup, that it's not that bad.
No, I feel like that has been skipping around back and forth, the old
Instead,
Zoe
Yorick,
LeBlanc.
He is going to make it in here. And this is what I was talking about. Yorick usually can only come down on red side once either 2 conditions have been met. Jax has been banned away.
Yep.
Or some of his counters. Or he just gets in there as the counter pick. Top is all about counter picking right now. And there's only one true blind champion that is able to just sort of go up and contend against everything, and that's Jace. So when he's taken off the table, it becomes a very big nightmare for blue team.
Well, at the moment, KT do have Gango's Draven, which is great news for him. They've got a high-powered mid laner in the LeBlanc. Score has an early game jungler here. And Smeb on the Aatrox into the Yorick could be a difficult time for them. However, elsewhere on the map, things do look good early on for KT Rolster. How Score will be able to path around and affect his lanes is going to be the question on my mind, and whether they're going to be able to play around some priority here. Top lane is going to be pretty exciting between Aatrox and Yorick to see who is going to be able to get the jump. But our bottom lane is where all of our eyes are going to be trained on the Draven.
Draven, Galio, LeBlanc, Rek'Sai, and Aatrox here for KT. This team composition, like I said, no legs to stand on if it goes super late. Everything here comes down to 2 items. But on the flip side, Yorick, Jarvan the 4th, Ryze, Lucian, and Braum. This team wants to explode too at 1 and 2 items. But they do have some insurance policies inside of the Ryze and inside of the Yorick.
Yep, and they also have double baby cage, which is super exciting. You can throw down the Cataclysm and then put a Dark Procession in the middle of it, and it's going to be pretty hard for anyone to move around, or you could just make a Venn diagram with it and really screw up the terrain for your opposition. I do like it here, and we'll see whether SANDBOX can make use of it as we get into game 1. Very loud cheers from both of the fans here for KT and for SANDBOX at Lol Park. See who's going to be able to draw first blood here in game number 1. Score wandering over a ward here, spots it, but isn't able to take it down. See where OnFleek is actually going to start as far as his jungle path is concerned.
They got the zombie Ryze out here again. Not really.
You a fan? No?
No, really not. No,
Huh.
definitely not.
I like Pirate Ryze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
I like that. I can get behind that.
Alright, cool.
Okay.
Glad we got some synergy. Alright, there's the
no.
face check. That's the double taunt. They're going to take a lot of damage, but no one's died just yet. Joker down to about 200 health. OnFleek looking to try and come back through here. That's a good stun. Remember, this is a Braum. This is really scary stuff as Joker has to get the heal out, has to flash there as well. Not a lot of summoner spells remaining on either side as there's another taunt. A SnowFlower just on the edge, and Colossal Smash is going to tag the Jarvan as well. But this is a tug of war that no team's going to win just yet.
But I do think that SANDBOX actually wins out a little bit through this. Yes, Gango and SnowFlower, they do both still have their flashes available, but the kill pressure that can come out from Braum and Lucian, I think is just so scary, and you can also see the HP difference.
Yeah, it's the fact that Gango now, without a potion and without any ability to play up in this lane as the Draven, is really, really scary. So I do get your point.
Yeah,
I was looking at it.
still has it.
Yeah.
Oh, just missed out. Not quite wiggling as best as he could.
Yeah.
Taunt being used by SnowFlower there, not going to find anything, and this is a very rough spot. Just misses out there on the Piercing Light again.
Ghost just doing his best to keep all this pressure on his score. He's way too low to be able to get any gank happening, and he's managed to take his red buff and a Krug camp, and now he's going to have to go back home. Not exactly great news here for the Rek'Sai. He's gone with a longsword first. We'll see whether that's going to be a Tiamat very early here for the Rek'Sai, just to help her with the clear, even though the cost did go up, and junglers haven't enjoyed buying it recently.
Well, so far now, the bottom lane for SANDBOX is off to a fantastic start. Smeb trying to do Aatrox things up here in the top lane against Yorick.
And he's actually doing so very effectively, right?
Yep.
8 CS in the lead at the moment, but the Yorick is going to take a little while to get online. You really need to have Julia available before you can really get the work
I've
done.
missed Julia. You know who we've really been missing?
Who have we been missing?
Julia.
I know. Oh, yeah, I know.
Can't even get Silas anymore.
I know.
This is not even a champion. It's almost like Kale.
An extra week with no Silas. How upset are you about that?
I'm just really happy that we're not seeing Morgana or Kale.
That's true. I mean, if we saw Kale, I think that would be the real icing on the cake of people not knowing how to draft at this point in time. Is all right. Dove uses his entire mana bar, but BDD able to trade back pretty nicely there through the chain.
Corrupting Potion also still available as LeBlanc is burning through her Corrupting Pots. So I don't think this is the most fortunate situation to be in if you are BDD.
Well, Dove's underneath his turret, so that is going to be priority over to KT at the moment. Top side of the map as well is shoving in, and Gango has found himself some room to breathe. He's going to push this minion wave towards SANDBOX though, so that's 4 minions that are actually looking to go begging here as Ghost tries to get some vision down. We'll use the Scry's Bloom, but that is going to mean that a lot of that wave is going to go begging.
Really interesting, actually, by Ghost to go over there and hit the plant.
Just wanting to know what score is up to.
Now everyone actually knows, yeah, exactly where score is, and they know what camps are going to be available to him. I'm not really quite sure where score's pathing to.
Yep,
Comes
Gango.
down. Yeah.
Edge of the Winter's Bite as Score. See whether he slinks his way into this brush down here. No, looks to do this. Go back home. Gango and SnowFlower pushed up a little bit too far to let the Rek'Sai actually get any ganks off. But found his rhythm now as Gango. Joker's holding onto this minion wave, wants to keep these casters out of the way so that SANDBOX can continue attempting a bit of a freeze down on the bottom side of the map.
It definitely feels like Ghost and Joker definitely dropped the ball, but Gango and SnowFlower are doing a fantastic job to recover inside of this lane. They're even in CS. Gango basically even now at this point on HP. SnowFlower ahead in the HP department.
This shows that SANDBOX have decided to play very respectfully with the fact that they don't have any of their summoner spells available. Of course, Exhaust and Heal have just come back up, but still without Flash is the problem. And Jarvan is a little bit too far away on the puppy camp at the moment to try and help. So SANDBOX just going to be playing it safe by the water. Score once again down here though. It's vertical jungling in for the Rek'Sai. Hasn't really been topside for a very long time. Gets control ward down on this Ocean Drake. No one going to be taking it at this point. As SANDBOX finally getting a shove back. On the bottom side, Dove is in a good position to get down here. Realm Warp is available. Sprayseeker doesn't find the mark. You can see we've got an ultra zoom out as Dove is in the river. Looking to clear out these control wards, and SANDBOX have pushed up at exactly the right time to get control of this river.
And they know that another control ward was just placed down. Score gonna end up revealing himself. Zombie ward comes in.
Yep, Sprayseeker gonna help him out there as OnFleek's just gonna pass himself towards this Rift Scuttler most likely. PDD playing a little bit aggressively, just distorting on top of Dove when there was a Jarvan there, but no harm, no foul.
So far, not too much is really happening in the game here. Oh,
Dark Procession is going to put Rek'Sai in the baby cage. No one puts Rek'Sai in the corner, remember.
Why not?
I don't know, it's a Dirty Dancing quote.
Oh, okay.
Score. We're going to eventually find it. That's the Morning Mist, actually, for a lot of extra damage, and it looks like this Gromp camp's not going to be taken by the Rek'Sai. That is great time eaten by the Yorick.
Yeah, this is actually fantastic.
Oh, look at the
By
adorable
Summit,
little ghouls.
he was able to convert the priority in top lane into fantastic pressure and pseudo counter jungling almost in a way onto Score. OnFleek is able to get multiple camps and tempo ahead of Score now, and this is really awkward pathing now for the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and also, you can see Summit, he's managed to catch all the way back up again against Smeb, who is having a good first few levels. Smeb has gone for the Domination Tree option here. I think he's probably gone into Inspiration as well for the Cosmic Insight. This is sort of this is my favorite take on the Aatrox, because you get to take the Taste of Blood Ravenous Hunter combo for a bit of extra sustain, get that old Aatrox feel, and then you can also get that 45% CDR at the same time. So, sort of my theory on why Aatrox hasn't completely left the meta just yet.
Well, Summit here has an extremely large wave that's about to be coming in soon.
Yep, and already has about CS parity. So Julia comes out, and she's going to start her onslaught on minion wave. Just sucking out the essence.
She does that.
Yeah.
She likes it.
That's her thing.
Oh, they know about OnFleek.
Oh, the Tremor Sense just popping. As Score is being very respectful to this Jarvan.
Dove doesn't have the kind of priority he would really want. Oh, OnFleek
no
missed.
knock-up. Yeah, exactly right. Chain is going to land in response, though, as BDD follows up with a second one. Joker and Ghost, though, they move up, and they don't want to let Score get anything done. OnFleek might need to go back home. That should actually give an advantage over to KT as SnowFlower clears out vision. And it looks like Score is entitled to his red buff.
OnFleek is behind in XP. He's still only level 5 scores, already 6. Meanwhile, Summit maybe going to be converting into a plate here in top lane, as Dove is almost about to get a plate of his own.
Yeah, SANDBOX have actually been shoving in this mid lane over and over again, as now Score, he just wants to get these Adoration stacks cashed in for Gango. There's the flash in for the taunt as Score gets his flash off as well. Ghost able to leap away, but Whirling Death is going to cash in. And now Score's able to get on top of Joker as well. Underground, but not able to get that knock up one more. And that is first blood and a cash in. Very, very nicely done there for Gango.
They're not able to convert this into a plate though here in bottom, and so while it is a very good kill and pick up and getting that Draven passive going. Not the end of the world. Blue buff gonna be stolen away.
And that's actually,
BDD.
that's super bad news for both BDD and Smeb, because now BDD doesn't get it, and Smeb just gets smacked on by this Yorick over and over again, even more with infinite mana. And this is just a really nice play from KT.
Yeah, just very easy. They cleared out the ward. They made sure they had the control ward in that brush. And a pretty simple cookie cutter gank setup. Galio just landing the taunt and everything just going very simply.
Yep, I like it a lot. Gango goes back, finishes off Ninja Tabi, has himself a Vamp Scepter on top of that BF sword that he already had. That looks much better than this weird pirate knife and a couple of daggers that Ghost has put together for himself. Smeb under the turret though will be able to clear things up quite nicely. He's in touching distance, but I feel like that's just not why you picked the Aatrox here in this lane, because I just feel like you're going to have a much better time as this game goes on if you are the Yorick. Well, morning miss. There's the Dark Procession. Umbral Dash can be used by Smeb. Gets himself out of the way, so no worries. There's a bit of an advantage here for Smeb, I guess, in the lane, just because he does have a little bit more money's worth of stats. Free-ass boots helping him out with the movement speed functionality there as well, but not for long. Summit's looking to build towards his Trinity Force.
Ward being placed now there by Smeb as the gold score about to tip in the favor of SANDBOX. I do think that Summit did just get a plate up in top, not entirely. Yeah, he did.
I don't know whether he actually cashed in the plate for himself, but as you can see,
oh man,
100 gold the difference. And that's a face check from SnowFlower, but does get a decent taunt. Ghost is able to get out of the way from it though, and OnFleek now has inside track. Dove's going to make his way up. Hero's entrance comes down, but is that down to your death is the question. SnowFlower, it's not his, but the Draven does die. Now Smeb with the World Ender looking to try and get more. BDD dives forward. The LeBlanc gets into the brush, pops back out on the distortion, and so far it's all SANDBOX. 5 members now pushing up on this bottom side. There are plates to be had, low health bars on KT and no AD carry.
Yeah, and this is a great trade here for SANDBOX. They managed to shut down the Draven, take away some of the Adoration stacks, and then also Ghost able to stay inside the lane, get some of the XP for himself, and they definitely win out. Definitely not a great feeling if you are KT right now. Yorick already ahead in a level. He still has the Maiden. And now you look at the lane state in top, the wave is going to start pushing back in now to Summit, which you can't feel too good about if you're the Aatrox.
Yeah, exactly. And you saw the wave just move in range of the turret as well, so Smeb missed out on all of those minions that were crashing forward. So that experience advantage is going to continue.
Take a look at this, and Gango ends up getting exhausted. Braum wasn't able to use it in the previous game that SnowFlower ended up setting up with score on the Rek'Sai just a moment ago.
Really unfortunate that Gango moved almost out of range of the hero's entrance as well. You would have thought that he would have jumped into the middle just to make sure that he could stay alive for as long as possible, utilize the CC if they did actually want to try and jump on him, because there were targets in auto attack range and he could have stayed closer, so maybe a little bit of a rookie mistake there from Gango. But hindsight is, of course, always 20/20. Bloodthirster almost done here for the Draven. Blade of the Dawn King is completed for Ghost, so that is good news. There's the flag and drag. Okay, Realm Warp to come in from Dove. He wants to land in here. That's going to be the Rune Prison, but Distortion exists. And BDD is, of course, safe.
Not even forced to use his flash just there, but nonetheless, it's still going to be a really good victory. Dove already level 10. Able to make BDD leave the lane for a little bit. BDD finally does end up pinging level 10 himself, but Dove with the blue buff. BDD being forced to use his last corrupting potion.
And Scorers as well, just getting tracked here around this map. The Rek'Sai, I just feel like there's so much pressure on her to get so much done in the early game, and at the moment, 1 assist I don't think is going to be enough to allow her to cling to relevance as this game goes on. She really needs to be more effective as Ghost throws out the Blade of the Ruin King, and Gango is just dead. That's a great stun up there as the Glacial Fissure connected. Gango, not a lot of opportunities to get out there. No dark passages to be taken. SnowFlower can't offer anything.
And the Adoration Sacks once again hit on this Draven, and everything is just going SANDBOX's way here in game number 1. When you were KT, we talked about inside of the pick ban phase, their team composition wants to get ahead. It needs to be ahead. And the fact that the insurance policy champions of Ryze and Yorick are beating their lane opponents is just disastrous for KT.
Yeah, basically straight up beating their lane opponents. And this is the side of the map where KT feel like they're strong, right? This is Smeb, this is BDD. These are household names as super talented players here in the LCK. Maybe not so much for 2019, but you can't deny the past. This is SANDBOX just outplaying them on champions that feel a lot better. So, bit of a disaster here as we're going for the dive. World Ender is going to come out. Smeb wants to be able to punish Julia, but Julia's going to catch up to her husband there as she follows after Summit. And that is just ultimate traded. That's not what you want as Smeb. He's not going to be able to enter this lane really against Summit unless he's very careful.
Score now leashing the blue. I don't think he's going to give it to BDD. So Score maybe trying to prepare his future in NA.
That's not entirely sure.
Want to give away the blue buff, but nonetheless, Gango taking another quick look at the replay here. I think he did give away the blue buff.
Let's have a look at BDD when we head back there. You can see his mana bar is ticking up.
Score still got it. He's still a team player.
Yeah, not heading to NA just yet. Hasn't booked his flight.
Nope.
I like it. I want to keep him around for a little bit longer. SANDBOX, they want to send him home as early as possible tonight, and they currently have 2,000 gold lead, which is a good start in that direction. Looking at the items, Archangels is done, Trinity Force is done. So first power spikes here for the solo lanes from SANDBOX have come in. Still looking for that Ceres transformation, but that will be relatively close for Dove as we're going to zoom all the way out once again, checking out this bottom side. You can see all of that vision is what we're illustrating. SANDBOX with complete and utter control of Score's jungle. No surprises about where the Rek'Sai is whatsoever, meaning that everyone can play as comfortably as they like.
And look at the turret damage here in mid. Ryze has almost managed to raise the tier 1 turret completely on his own. Infernal Drake coming up in 3 minutes. Herald now being taken as well by OnFleek and Summit.
And Summit able to move on over because he continues to have this lane priority topside. I feel like it's just one good thing being transferred into the next here for SANDBOX.
Lane Kingdom is definitely in effect in mid and top lane.
Well, SnowFlower gets another flash double taunt, but the ultimate does come out beforehand from Joker. Is that going to be enough here? As that's going to be Ghost turning it around. Gets 1 kill back as Gango flashes. Does so at the right time. And they are able to eventually get the 2-for-1. But Shelly goes down in the mid lane and she'll be able to get a bunch of work done. 2 turrets die simultaneously for SANDBOX. And yeah, good on you for getting a couple of kills bottom lane, guys.
Oh, man.
But KT, you are going to lose your entire house.
Yeah, and Yorick and Julia up in top lane pushing onto the top tier 2. Look at the damage that Yorick actually does. Rift Herald even gets some chip damage. Yeah.
3 charges from Shelly. Damn, she was working overtime today. Realm Warp to get underneath the turret. That's going to be Hero's entrance to come down. No, Julia. Gets smacked by that one. But Dove, you can see, looking to put Smeb into the World Ender and does so very easily. Thankfully, he does have that ultimate ticking, but you don't want to just throw away your R button like that if you're Smeb. He's got a decent cooldown at this point.
Yeah, and I actually don't know if Smeb will have that World Ender available. And let's take another quick look at this. So it almost actually looked like SnowFlower was going to get away and that Ghost wasn't going to be able to proc the Braum passive in order to get the stun and the damage. In the end, he ended up being able to, Gango even being forced to flash away. So even though on paper this looks like, oh, KT made some really good progress in bottom lane, they really didn't because it came at a cost. It came at the cost of 2 middle lane turrets, 2 minion waves in mid going into the Abyss, and then top lane tier 1 turret going down to Summit. And so at the end of the day, 2.5k gold lead in favor of SANDBOX, Infernal Drake coming up, and it's looking really rough for KT.
Yep, and the top side of the map is just destroyed at this point. When it comes to controlling the map, we knew that SANDBOX already had a lot of vision down towards the bottom side, and now just opening up the map so far by eradicating the mid lane of its turrets is going to mean that SANDBOX can play with a whole lot more space around them as well. And remember, Gango, he doesn't have a lot of peel available for him this time around. I mean, a lot of the peel is KT trying to kill the people around him rather than actually peel. There's a taunt in an AoE around SnowFlower, and that's about it. But nothing to reposition the Draven, which means Cataclysm and the Dark Procession from the Yorick are going to be very, very pivotal and very difficult for Gango to play around. So him not having Flash, having to use it after that dive is a big deal. SANDBOX might be able to capitalize here. There's 7 seconds, and that Infernal Drake will pop up here on the roof. Hello.
SANDBOX are in position to capitalize on this. Summit is pushing top lane right now, but he has teleport available.
Also has Maiden available as well.
Yeah.
Hasn't pulled Julia out of his back pocket just yet. Ultimate going to go completely wide there from Joker, but a couple of stacks not going to be enough. SANDBOX just once again putting themselves in position.
Oh, man.
And Summit says, you guys just hold there. I'm totally fine. Julia pops up, Dark Possession comes in. Smeb decides that he wants to run away. And it's very different from when a Aatrox ultimates, because then you just wait it out, and then it's waited out, and it's fine. But you do that with a Yorick, no, Julia just hangs around forever.
This is an absolutely terrible feeling right now, and I also got to point out that LeBlanc has an Oblivion Orb. And so it will definitely help out with dealing damage onto Ghost and Summit. But for the other champions, they're already starting to get the magic resistance, so that item is going to be a little bit stunted. Now, fortunately for BDD, there's no incentive for the Lucian to get any sort of magic resist anytime soon. But Summit is just going to have such an HP stack in the later stages. It's going to be difficult for LeBlanc to do anything to him. Infernal Drake now for SANDBOX. I mean, it's just doing so much work in terms of AP and AD amplification.
Yeah, it's actually just quite scary. And at the moment, you've got Dove with his Zhonya's Hourglass now in his back pocket. You've got 2 items for Ghost. Seraph's Embrace transformation also for Dove. Man, this is getting real, real scary, because these item spikes that we talk about are very relevant, as Julia's going to try and jump on to score again. Don't kill the little ghoulies. They're so cute.
No.
I just think they are, man. The little ghoulies and the little drop portal minions as well. Little mini rhinos. No?
Nope.
No, not giving me that
not
one?
Doing that.
Nope.
Not throwing your bone there.
All right.
On that one.
Reminds me of Rusty. I used to bring that back in the Zrot Portal meta.
Okay.
Rusty
I like
would get
that
very
meta.
frustrated with me calling them rhinos.
Do you
Bit
know
of trivia.
one of my favorite items in WoW was?
Banner of Command.
Oh my god, the caster synergy.
Yep, no worries.
We were connected for a moment just there.
So, rhinos?
Yes, Ryan.
Yes! Oh, got it. Thankfully, I passed the Banner of Command test.
Yes.
It's a bit of a shame that we don't have banners in the game anymore.
Yeah. I loved when both teams would have 5 banners.
I know, it should just be banners everywhere.
That...
My favorite was mid lane Scion banner meta.
Oh, yes.
Just think about all of the excitement.
Oh, yes.
All of the explosive damage and excitement.
We're going to need to slow down. We still
I
have to finish this game.
That's
I'm not
true.
trying to make a pit stop somewhere.
That's true. That's true. I apologize.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back up again in game number 3. Get you ready. There's a reason why we're talking about Zrot portals and banners of command, because not a whole lot is happening at the moment. Ghost is getting closed in on by 5 members of KT, but he'll be totally fine. And SANDBOX just enacting this 4-1 split. Dove might actually make it a 1-3-1, as they are just getting vision around this area. Joker going to get caught out for a moment. Knock-up is going to land there onto SnowFlower, but important for KT, they don't have him stunned up.
Everyone whiffing, and right now, this Yorick is unstoppable down in the bottom lane. I think that Summit might even try to counter jungle some of the golems, or the Krugs, never mind.
I don't even know whether you can call him unstoppable, because no one's even trying to stop him. He's just down there,
The minions
whacking
are.
on the minions, thwacking on the turret. Dark Procession comes up. He's just claiming that territory as his own. As you can see SANDBOX, they shove out the mid lane, and they just continue to have so much control over this.
2-level difference in the top lane right now. That is how far ahead the Yorick is.
And also 2 items in comparison to just a weird hammer here for Smeb in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Yes, he's going to have a fair bit of CDR, but Steric's Gauge plus the Trinity Force is just, oh my, that's just disgusting. And the synergy between those 2 items, of course. Oh dear. This is a Yorick that's heading towards some real scary times. And yeah, you might just go for a GA as his next item. I wouldn't. I'd probably go for something else until you use your stopwatch, then complete the GA. See what he decides he wants to do. At the moment, he can basically do whatever he wants. Summit is in a great spot on the Yorick.
I think they're just trying to look to set up something onto Smeb. They seem to be on a little bit of a different page, though. Red is coming up. Maybe just going to give it over to Summit.
Yep, that's actually already on Summit there, as Julia helped him mow it down.
Very slow and steady game here by SANDBOX. Now, they have a little bit over a 4,000 gold lead, but you have to remember the Infernal Drake is amplifying their stats so much. And for team compositions like these two, you know, the KT team comp, it really wanted to go off at 1.5, 2 items. Well, SANDBOX did too, except their champions were a little bit better to boot. And so right now, the longer that this game goes, the more and more oppressive the Yorick becomes inside of the side lane, and the scarier that the Ryze becomes. Here we go.
Yep, teleport is available here. Summit's going to make his way forward. Cataclysm comes down as you're not escaping anywhere. Speeded even locks down that kill onto the Jarvan. They started this fight, but they're not winning it just yet. Summit dives into the backline, though, and that's going to turn it all around. The baby cage is set up. The world ender is going to be Smeb's world that's taken down. Ghost chased after him, and that's going to be it. Last rites. That's exactly what they are. Julia and Summit just smack down on the Rek'Sai. Triple kill for the Yorick. And now the Baron is theirs on a silver platter.
Yeah, and Julia basically just told Score, that's my man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what just happened.
You take your hands off him.
Rek'Sai not able to do anything right there, and I think that's probably going to be all that she wrote for this game. A Clown Drake is on the map right now, but doesn't need to be a high priority objective as SANDBOX. We're going to have all 5 members having the Baron. Summit going to come over here with Julia.
Yeah.
He heard that she wanted a pet dragon, so...
Yeah, he's going to be able to grab that one. Of course, you know, this is after their little bit of a tiff, you know. Rek'Sai, I mean, she's got legs for days, man. So
yeah.
Of course, you're going to be getting a little bit jealous, so you've got to give something back to Julia. She's able to get herself a dragon. That's really nicely done. And speaking of nicely done, this is OnFleek sacrificing himself, but honestly, you have a Yorick this big, it don't matter what happens.
He cataclysmed right back in. I think that the flash was definitely lackluster. He shouldn't have utilized it, or he shouldn't have looked to use it in the side of this fight, but Summit, you can just see how much of a monster this Yorick is in this fight. Summit chasing BDD, and as he brings him down, he actually levels up to 16. And this is where Rek'Sai says, let's go Baron, let's go Baron. Nice.
Good job, good job. Well played there by SANDBOX. That was a really nice fight, but honestly, it's just the Yorick being completely disgusting. 1,000 gold bounty, no worries.
Person on the right, not impressed. You saw him?
Yeah, no.
His reaction.
Yeah, he was basically LS.
Yeah, it was basically me.
He was not impressed at all.
Yeah, I'm a little bit angry that, you know, he's...
Do you know what I'm not angry about? What? Summit was listening to me, dude.
Okay.
He used his stopwatch, as we saw, going golden to guarantee the triple kill for the Yorick, and then immediately goes home, builds himself his GA. Oh, just exactly what you like to see.
I was watching a series yesterday where GA should have been built.
Oh yeah.
It was G2 versus Fnatic.
Oh yeah.
Into that?
Yeah, I had a look at that one. Okay. Yeah, that was
They couldn't
was a bit of a close one, wasn't it?
Well, they couldn't quite locate the Guardian Angel in that game. They did have a Guardian Angel though.
They did calculate inhibitor timers.
Yeah, their support was a Guardian Angel. He managed to kill the inhibitor and then, well,
speaking of which,
spoilers.
Yeah, Julia and Summit are going to be able to take down an inhibitor. Only the top one remaining is Morning Mist is going to land.
No!
Getting punished. Julia, come back! Come back! Oh no! Turned into 50 gold. SANDBOX back. You've lost your best players off the map. Best players off the map. Get out of there.
Ryze now bringing in the giant wave in top. This is definitely going to be the 3rd inhibitor going down. KT looking like they want to make their last stand right now.
Yep, that is going to be the ult landing. Oh god, Score just dead. Not a lot of options here on the Rek'Sai. She's just so early game focused these days. Last inhibitor is going to fall. Baron's alive for another minute. And that is going to be Nexus turrets now under fire. All 5 members of Smeb goes in for the last ditch fight. He's looking for it, but he just finds his activation on the ultimate. BDD's going to get knocked up, can't even get back, does eventually. Actually, the first kill going to go down to the Yorick. A couple, though, do go over to Dove, and he looks for a turret at the same time. Goes very close to dying, but that one was calculated, as BDD's able to get it in the end. But the Nexus dies, and that is game number 1 going to SANDBOX.
That was a really close last fight right there. And by close, I mean SANDBOX's champions were very close to KT's.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And they were very close to the enemy Nexus.
Yes.
It was a very proximity-based fight. I guarantee that. Yeah.
Right. They were very close to the fountain.
Yeah.
All right. So.
And Ghost was very close.
Ghost was getting a little bit too close. Right. So.
But it was pretty nicely played, honestly. And I want to bring up sort of how that game happened.
Yeah.
And just sort of the way SANDBOX was playing it out, because the stats that we were looking at before this game were stats like damage per minute, which SANDBOX are #1 in. Very, very good at just fighting as often as they possibly can. This was an example of it. This wasn't an example of that. It was more about finesse. It was more about, we're going to control vision down the bottom side of the map, and we are going to methodically crush you and give you no options as we move towards the late game with a composition that we feel is superior. And that's exactly what they did. And there was never a moment in that game where you were like, oh, SANDBOX have let KT come back in. I guess maybe the fact that Score got a gank off on the bottom side of the map, but that was honestly something that, you know, Rek'Sai should be able to get, at least in the early game. But then SANDBOX played around their weaknesses and their strengths very, very well. So I really like this new look SANDBOX that isn't necessarily let's just throw our faces forward and see whether we come up good.
If Summit doesn't get MVP here, something's going on.
Well, he's going to get MVP. Spoiler alert, he's definitely getting the MVP. The only other person that I'd give MVP to is Julia.
Yeah, agree.
That is about it.
I would definitely.
She was brilliant.
Well, that's what happens when you draft the KT team compositions and then you don't do anything with it in the early game. And it's honestly one of the reasons that I really like what SANDBOX did. They opened very aggressive Lucian Braum.
Yep.
And they recalibrate as soon as the enemy shows that their team composition is going to be one-dimensional and it's beyond the point of return. And which is what it was when you had the LeBlanc and the Draven so early on in the draft, handing over priority to the opponent, your passing priority, and you're just so face up so early on. And I really like that SANDBOX are able to find these mid-rangey champions that are able to go toe-to-toe with those super aggressive champs, but have the insurance policy inside of them.
And also, they've just got,
really
their
nice.
Drafting strategy was just beautiful, and I love seeing that because, honestly, drafting strategy hasn't been something we've been talking up from our recent teams. So SANDBOX nailed it. Can they do it again on the blue side, though, is the real question, because now KT will have that opportunity to counterpick. Will they be able to get Smeb a good matchup? Will BDD, once again, be on one of his power picks? Only time will tell, LS, and we will let you know about it after a very short break. At the moment, we've got Castagen going for a little bit of a rant, but we are, I promise you, heading towards the break.
We are
very,
closing.
very soon. Yeah. Still closing.
We're closing.
Still closing.
Still
closing.
We're closing.
Here we go.
There we go.
See you after the break.
Yep.